Hey everybody, it's PartyElite, and today we're diving into Frostpunk 2's extremely early access beta that allows us to check out the Utopia Builder mode that'll be coming with the game when it launches later this year. If you want to check this beta out for yourself, heads up, it runs right up until the end of this week, but also a heads up, the way to get access to it is by pre-ordering the deluxe edition of the game. Subject of pre-ordering aside, the good thing is that, thanks to the developers, I got an early access key so that I could check it out over the weekend, and I can showcase it on the channel so you can make a decision if you want to dive in yourself or not. With that said, as I was checking it out over the weekend, I realized just how different Frostpunk 2 is from Frostpunk 1. So while I spent some time getting my bearings and an understanding of where things are and how things work now, I thought it would be a lot more fun to kind of experience the mid and later game stuff together and learn the new systems and stuff together. So it's going to be a semi-blind run, I suppose. With that said, folks, and with no more time to waste on an intro, let's dive on into the Utopia Builder preview. Just as a quick note, folks, if you do want to see this continue, if you'd like to see me play throughout the course of this beta, potentially to completion, let me know by leaving a comment down below and perhaps hitting that like button as well. Just lets me know what I should focus my efforts on the channel. So go ahead and hit that like button and leave a comment to let me know. With that said, let's see what we were getting ourselves into. The Utopia Builder preview. This preview has been limited in scope, of course. No story mode is available, as we saw in the main menu. Things are work in progress, and bugs and crashes and placeholders may appear. That's par for the course, all good. The playthrough is capped at 300 weeks, and we're going to find out together just how long 300 weeks actually is. In terms of the options we have available to us, we're actually limited to what you see on screen right now, but we can take a peek at what else will be available down the line. Now, heads up, folks, everything you see today and, for the rest of this beta period is subject to change. Of course, this is so early. The game isn't coming out like, next month or anything. So all this is subject to change. I just want to stress that. Let's take a look at what the ambition we have available to us actually is. Colonization. So establish a food colony, establish a fuel colony, a materials colony, and then explore most Frostland territories. So 50 of them. Fair enough. Ones that aren't available to us are Utopia, which is about getting to a certain population, establishing the same colonies as before, but also having an abundance of heat. 500 is, I guess, an abundance. Next up, we have population, so increase our population to twice that of a Utopia. Otherwise, establish at least 2 colonies, fair enough. And then we have prosperity, so have an abundance of heat at 1,000 here. Okay, so it's not like 500 is the threshold, it's just using numbers and descriptive words separately. Fair enough. Otherwise, get massive stockpiles of various types of resources and provide enough shelter for everyone. Fair enough. All right, and those are all the options. Interesting that shelter isn't a necessity for a Utopia, but again, like I was saying, this is all placeholder, so we probably shouldn't even be looking. But we're all curious, aren't we? So of course we will. Colonization is the only option available to us, so that's where we're going to be. And otherwise, in terms of where we're going to be, we only have one map available to us: Wind-Swept Peaks. Sheltered between mountain ranges in a small valley, this place was judged well protected from the elements with relatively easy access to key resources. Fair enough. The other options we have available to us we don't have available to us, but that we can peek at, are Broken Shore. Initial plans aimed to use the nearby body of water for fishing, but it froze solid during the Great Storm. However, there's still access to vast frozen forests in the area. The Fractured Gorge. The frost disfigured this area, but it was chosen for easy access to geothermal energy. It lacks other fuels, though. Then we have Horizon. The variety of key resources in the area outweighed the dangers of being placed in the open plains of the Frostland. Fair enough. And then back to Windswept Peaks, which is where we're actually going to be. So you can kind of get a sense for how each of those maps is a little different in terms of what's readily available versus not. And then we have our 2 communities that are sort of the core of our society. Here we have machinists and foragers, and that's the only available option. But we can take a peek at workers and merchants, lords and thinkers, or a random assortment. Now, I don't know if that's random pairings or, random on both sides. Like, is it just going to pick one of these at random, or is each side of this and going to be picked at random? I'm not sure. Either way, these guys will determine. Well, we'll get into it when we get into it. I don't want to belabor too much before we actually start playing. And then there's the difficulty preset. Again, here we can actually go up to hard, but we can't go up to extreme, and nor can we go into a custom to actually change each of these individually. But you can see the options we'll have available to us in the future. That's all there is to it, folks. Let's go ahead and dive on in. A new beginning. The end of the world changes people. It changed us. Us, the foragers, natural survivalists adapted to harsh frostland conditions. The machinists, descendants of groups that built the initial cities and maintained their machinery. We chose you as our steward to lead the city as overpopulation looms and resources dwindle. We all dream of a better future. What it should look like, this we can't agree on. Tension stirs and radicals rear their heads. Navigating this will be your ultimate challenge. The city must not fall. I absolutely love the visual treatments in this game. It is gorgeous from top to bottom. But folks, coal is running out. We have grown numerous over the years and waited too long to strike out. Our coal stockpiles are nearly depleted. We have to colonize the Frostland. But first, we located some coal deposits in rough terrain around the city. We must send frostbreaking crews to access them. We need more coal. Right off the bat, as we engage the Frostbreakers to frostbreak a new area, you're going to see just how different Frostpunk 2 is from Frostpunk 1. We might as well stop making comparisons because it is so different, apart from it being cold and the name, I guess. There are a couple of similar concepts, obviously, but gameplay-wise, mechanics-wise, it's so very different. So right off the bat, we're working now on a hex-based map. We're working at a much larger scale. This is the central core of the city, but we are spreading outwards into terrain that is otherwise, inaccessible. We're going to be establishing districts, and in order to do so, we'll be taking up a lot of space, and so very quickly, we're going to have to frost break into these inaccessible areas, not only to grant us more room, but also to grant us access to, for example, the coal that's frozen up over here, or perhaps the wood that's frozen over here, the food that's down here. So, frost breaking becomes essential. You'll also see that frost breaking takes time. As we make our path towards this coal, let's go ahead and make a decent shape over here. You'll see that there's a minimum number of hexes we have to choose, and that's a fairly constant theme as we go further and establish districts and stuff as well. But then you'll see that these guys come out, and they're absolutely gorgeous machines. I wish I could zoom in a little bit closer to actually, see them in action properly. But these guys will come around, they'll do a bit of frost breaking, and they'll take a fair bit of time. And as you know, in Frostpunk, here's another concept that carries over. Time is of the essence. It is constantly ticking towards colder seasons, warmer seasons if you're lucky, the occasional whiteout if you're not, and so you have to really think ahead and make sure you plan for the required frost breaking as you're expanding and running out of space and needing access to a new resource. But either way, on the topic of time being of the essence, don't worry, we're going to accelerate time in the future when we're just waiting for bars to fill up. But now we move on to district construction. So, as I was saying, we're working at a very different scale in Frostpunk 2. No longer are we placing individual buildings as our primary concern. Yes, from time to time you do still place individual buildings within the various districts you have access to, but by and large, your planning now is district-based. So each of these districts obviously has its own purpose, and you're obviously going to be concerned about adjacencies. If you have, for example, two housing districts butting up against each other, they're actually going to provide each other with a little bit of heat because of that adjacency. But if you have a housing district next to, I think, an extraction district, then you're going to see squalor increased at that housing district. So you really have to manage your space, you have to manage your adjacencies, and there's all kinds of buffs and debuffs that go between the districts that you have to be wary of. But for now, we're going to go ahead and construct an extraction district on that coal. However, districts can't be that small. They have to be a minimum of 6 hexes. So you can see how you can very quickly start to run out of space, and how you really have to plan ahead and think about how things are going to start becoming adjacent, even though that's not how you initially planned for them. So very interesting change in systems there. It's completely different, and it unlocks a different kind of layer and type of thinking, if you will, as far as expansion is concerned. What is that? I wish I could zoom in a bit closer. Are these like quadrupedal mech-looking things establishing this highway between our central district and the extraction district? Oh, that's super cool. And what do we have here? I think I just stacked 2 notifications. So shelter from cold. Good. we secured a new source of coal for the generator, but now we need shelter. Without it, people will still freeze to death, regardless of how hot the generator runs. The closer to the generator or other shelter, the better. We cannot afford to lose more heat than we have to. We will provide shelter. And otherwise, let's take a look at this as well. Looming cold. As the cold problem in our city continues to worsen, we must take action to protect our citizens. In these harsh conditions, people need a roof over their heads and enough heat to warm their homes. Is the generator powerful enough to heat the city? Or do we need to extract more fuel? If our current methods aren't enough, we should consider alternatives. Cold has risen to a concerning level. I don't know, it seems alright. It's 20 degrees is fine. I'm negative 20, but whatever, that's not that bad. I've seen worse. But yes, let's go ahead and establish our housing districts. As the game was alluding while it assigned us that objective, proximity here matters, as I was saying just moments ago. Now, as I was explaining, you can put two housing districts next to each other to get some benefits in terms of heat efficiency, but you get the same from placing things adjacent to our central district because of generator proximity. Now, how does this work? You can see those 3 empty pips. Each of those represents 1 adjacent hex. So let's go ahead and go 1, 2, and 3 to gain access to that +5 heat. And the others, we can go ahead and do, let's say, 1, 2, and 3. Sure, that sounds good to me. We don't want to use up any more of these hexes if we don't have to. There's no benefit to it. So, I'm going to keep that there. And then separately, let's go ahead and construct an additional housing district. And this one is going to go 1, 2, and 3 to get that generator proximity +5. And then it's also going to go 1, 2, and 3 to get the nearby housing warmth. And with that secured, we'll get the last, 1, because that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last one can be positioned over here, sure. And obviously, as we've put this district down, this district is also benefiting from those 3 adjacent hexes. It's just that one was obviously built after the other. So yeah, adjacencies matter a lot. You're going to want to be very careful about how you place things. You want to make sure you're not wasting space. All that good stuff, as we're scraping the barrel, apparently. With heat from the generator and shelter for everyone, we're safe from the cold for now. But as the city grows, it will not be enough. The machinists and foragers have different opinions on how to improve the city further. We need a place to develop ideas for the future. Expand a housing district to provide more space for advanced buildings, and build a research institute. So, districts are not limited to the initial size you establish them at. You can expand them afterwards at the cost of some heat stamps. Heat stamps are the currency of this world. So it'll cost us some heat stamps. We've got an interesting amount of them as I turn to look at them. But yes, we can spend 50 for sure in order to accomplish our objectives. Now, with everything else, it was 6 so far, 6 hexes. With an expansion, it's only 3. And I'm thinking we do 1, 2, 3. Sure. Expand in this direction. Speed time up a little bit. And then we got to build a research institute. But I guess there was an event over here waiting for my attention. Security for the future. Steward, we're extracting more coal than we currently need to provide adequate heat to the city. As such, we've begun to stockpile the surplus. At the moment, we have ample storage space left. However, this space will eventually be filled, and any additional coal we left out in the elements, rendering it worthless. If we do not wish to lose the surplus, we should build more depots. There are different types of depots for various resources. We can construct them in any district that has an empty building space. So each district has, each district except for the housing district has 1 empty building slot to start with, and then when you expand the district, you get an additional 1 empty building slot. So with housing, it starts with 0, but with the expansion, it gets 1. With, I believe, all the other districts, it starts with 1, then you expand it, and you get access to a second. So why don't we go ahead and, build a fuel depot. Really quickly want to check first, what is our fuel looking like? I mean, are we really going to go over our limit? Or am I being bamboozled here? We'll save it for later. I don't think we'll be stockpiling anytime soon. But we'll keep an eye out for the need if this number starts to get too big. Meanwhile, back over here, it looks like we're ready for our research institute. So let's go ahead and build our housing district building, the Research Institute. And again, you can see each building has its demands, has its requirements in terms of workforce, in terms of heat, so on and so forth. So you get all this, all these resources and moving parts that you have to manage. And you do get, as I was saying earlier, you get a bit of building placement, but it is quite limited. Like there's only one empty building slot, and no matter what building I want to place, it'll always be placed in that empty building slot for the district. So let's go ahead and pop you down over there. That's going to take some time to build up, and then we're going to get access to research, to the idea tree. And it'll allow us to research coal mines, and that will then allow me to build the newly researched building in the building slot of the extraction district. So that's how building slots are used right now. Again, you're primarily focused on districts with buildings kind of changing how that district might function or benefit your society in various ways. Speed time up a little bit over here. Get that done. Take a look at different ideas. So this is where communities really start to become important in one of many ways. This is one of them. The different communities have different preferences in terms of how they want to push society forward, and appeasing one or the other will cause, obviously, relations improvements, degradation, and ultimately friction. A small crowd gathers outside of the new Research Institute, arguing how to exploit the last coal veins. The machinists want us to lean on machine-powered mining, but foragers would have us pursue a more frugal solution. They would never display such discord in the captain's heyday. You have to choose who to entrust with developing their idea. The communities of the city have different perspectives. You may not be able to please everyone, so show me our options here. This will take us to the idea tree, and as you can see, we need new ideas to move forward. However, different communities may propose diverging answers to the same issue. They will only pursue solutions that align with their worldview. Choosing a community to develop an idea will improve your relations with that community. So we're chasing after coal mines, and you'll see here the foragers want us to use dust coal mines. Mining operation where residue coal dust is sucked up and compressed into briquettes to make maximum use of the resource. If we go forward with this, we would need 400 workforce, for 150 coal output, slight increase in disease, and a slight material demand. If we went with the grinding coal mine, we'd need less people, fewer people I should say, we would output more coal, but we'd see an increase in squalor, and we'd need much more in terms of materials. The construction cost is the same, the time needed is the same, so all that's the same, and it's really just a matter of what we want to prioritize and who runs this town, basically. Right now, our relations are neutral with both of them, and I am actually siding with the machinists. I'm not just doing that because they run 51% of the city, or they represent 51% of the city, but the numbers here make more sense. Less workforce, more coal. Everyone's always telling me how we need more coal, so this will get us more coal. So the grinding coal mine it shall be. Let's go ahead and develop that idea for some heat stamps there. We've got plenty to go, and obviously we're just following the tutorial objective, so we have to. Slowly over time, we'll see over the course of the next 14 weeks this new technology become available to us. So let's go ahead and speed time up a bit further. And as we're waiting for this idea to generate, you can see down over here, or this idea to progress, you can see over here we have our two communities. We've got the foragers and we've got the machinists, and our relations with them will change over time based on decisions like the one I just made, and that'll cause this to shift one way or another, and it'll impact the trust as well. This is the representation of trust in Frostpunk 2, and up over here we can see that at present there is no tension. Marginally increased by minor crime is the only note we have right now, so we'll see how that represents itself over time. But speed time up a bit again, and let's go ahead and develop this idea. Just one more week to go, and we are 40 weeks in already? Wow. 300 weeks is not a long time, but research has been finished. Let's go ahead and, before we build it, pick our next research. And we have quite a few options, actually. Up over here, we've got geothermal plants, not available in this preview. So we've got options we can peek at, I should say. Ooh, what's this? Pyrochemical oil extractor. Okay, very well. I mean, we know oil is in Frostpunk 2. It was in, pretty obvious about it with the trailers and stuff. Over here, we have worker obsolescence. Excuse me? We talk about robots and AI. This I was unaware of. Fair enough, fair enough. We've got advanced coal mines. We've got what? Coal. We've got Materials. So these are the categories. They're not the names. So like, this is coal, but the specific thing is advanced coal mine. So we don't know what these specific things are, but we can see that there's a variety of options for a variety of categories of things, and that's interesting. No community in the city can research this topic. So I wonder if you can actually get additional communities into your city, or if you're kind of stuck with the two, or I can't remember if the menu called them starting communities or just communities, because that becomes really interesting. Well, it becomes even more interesting, I should say. Very well. Again, a few more options. We have autonomous heater. Cool. Looking for ones that we can read, and it goes quite far out. Now, again, folks, remember, a lot of this stuff is going to be placeholder for sure. So it's fun to peek, it's fun to look and see what there might be, but don't be surprised if some of it changes. So there's geothermal plants, of course, before we get all the way to oil. There's what else? We've got hot houses. Down over here, that's the autonomous heater, the generator upgrade. And yes, the generator can do a lot of the similar things from Frostpunk 1, like go into overdrive and all that good stuff. But why don't we turn our attention to the economy? We've got sawmills as well there, by the way. But the economy gives us what? Housing blocks. Gives us rail hubs. That's cool. All right. And this one is famine prevention. Okay, I wonder how, but all right. These guys, trust and heat stamps. And no community can research. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Efficiency and trust. Trust and heat stamps. Shelter, okay. Options. Real. Okay, that's, I think, everything over here. And if we look at society, we got hospitals. And we've got... Oh, is that it? Oh, watchtowers. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Sickliness, population growth, research speed. I wonder what influences the direction these things go in. Is it the presence and support of the various communities, or... Curious. Either way, watchtowers, hospitals, weapons. Okay, I mean, sure. That doesn't mean it's suddenly going to become an RTS. It could impact things within your city the way, having coal mines doesn't make this Minecraft. Sorry, I read weapons and I was like, oh, what does that mean? It's going to be events and trouble brewing, I'm sure. Or perhaps not, perhaps the opposite. What to go with? I think we should go ahead and chase after... I mean, survival seems to be an important thing, I'm going to say. Hot houses. Geothermal plants aren't available. Advanced coal mines. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go after the hot houses. Sure. Requires a food district. Well, we don't even have one of those yet, so why waste time on that? Economy? Housing block? Sure, let's do the hospitals. I don't want to... You know what? Maybe I should be careful not to soft lock myself by mistake. What's the worst that could happen? Hospitals. Foragers are suggesting that we get an institution that provides medical treatment to sick and injured people to speed up their recovery. Okay. The machinists... Oh, do they just see eye to eye? Yeah, they don't seem to have a varied opinion here. So why don't we go ahead and support the foragers this time around, because we did the machinists last time, and balance our relations. Because that always works out for everybody when you try to please everyone. That always works out great. Oh, hang on. Did it... Okay, cool. Weird. It didn't actually click, I guess. Time to build this grinding coal mine up over here. Let's go. Spent a little bit of time in the idea screen there. It's always nice to sneak a peek, right? If it's there for sneaking. Let's get this built up. Speed time up. A place to settle differences. With a new mine, we have enough coal output to last us a while. Yet differences between communities remain. Even under the previous leader, plans have existed to establish a council to settle such differences. More pressing problems always delayed them. The time has come, Steward. The people want a say in how the city is run. We need a council. And that's where the trouble's going to begin, isn't it? That's where the trouble's going to begin. Let's go ahead and establish in the central district a council hall and see what kind of trouble that brings us. People and their opinions. On which topic? Folks, I'd love to hear yours. All jokes aside, though, I would love to hear your opinions on what you've seen so far, if you're enjoying this playthrough so far, if you're enjoying just kind of all the new mechanics and systems that are in place in this sequel to Frostpunk. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop them in the comments down below. And apart from that, if you're enjoying this run, if you would like to see it continue, at least for the duration of this beta, let me know by hitting the like button as well. And if you're not already a subscriber, you might want to consider subscribing too. This channel, we focus on strategic and tactical games, so if you like city builders, if you like simulations, if you like just classic RTSs, 4X, GSG, that's the kind of thing you'll find over here. So don't hesitate to subscribe. But yeah, I would love to know what you're thinking about, what you're seeing over here. Now, as this council house gets built, council hall, not council house, I'm going to very quickly save the game. Because the last time I was playing, the game actually crashed because of what happens next. The council gathers for the first time. And that's not even what I was alluding to when I said this is where the trouble begins, but I guess that is kind of funny in hindsight. We can now vote on new laws, so why don't we? First council session. People cheer as the gates of the council open. It feels like a piece of the world lost to the frost has been regained. The people are hopeful to have their voices heard. While the machinists and foragers clash about our survival strategy, neither has a firm stance on economic or social issues. However, many in their ranks do, but they keep to the shadows, for now. To pass any law in the council, you will need the majority of delegates to support it. Let's go ahead and open the session. The council. People of the city sent 100 delegates to represent them. Your role as steward is to propose laws that will be put to a vote. However, communities have different outlooks on many things. You may have to negotiate or pressure them to get enough support. So this is our council, and you can see on one side we have the foragers, and on the other side we have the machinists. And I imagine, again, it looks perfectly set up to have even more communities join, doesn't it? We can actually take a look at individual council members as well. So we've got our machinists, we've got our foragers, and a bit about them if if you're more curious. But if we click on someone twice, we get a bit more information about them. So Gideon Watton accidentally killed a student during a live demonstration. Jesus Christ, that's one to start on. Is stressed out by small talk, struggling to maintain a lie about who actually wrote his dissertation. This guy's amazing. Wow. All right. Okay, hopefully somebody else actually deserves to be on the council. Yikes. Myra Hancock welded engagement rings using broken scrap from the generator. Okay, that's fine. Secretly loves reading sappy romance novels. That's okay. Rarely believes flattery. That's all good. Anyway, this is just like more for your own interest if you want to get to know the people in your council a little bit better. Endured 3 days trapped beneath ice. Dreams about oatmeal. Opens up after a well-timed joke. Sounds good. Let's get to work, shall we? So, we can propose a law. I guess every 10 weeks we can propose a law, and we can propose it under survival, economy, or society. Let's take a look at some of these categories and what kind of options we have here. So, we've got within the category of survival, we have resources, frostland, and efficiency. So if we take a look at food additives, for example, right now we have no common rules. There are no established standards for which additives can be put in food in times of need. But maybe we can do foraged additives, which means that only natural foraged ingredients may be added to food. We will train people to forage for these in the frostland. Food output per capita is slightly increased. That's supported by the foragers, and you can see, though, the people are divided. The bars in the middle here need to tip over one way or the other for a decision to be come to. I assume at times you'll maybe want to try and push a law that you actually want to be like rejected. I don't know, that hasn't come up yet or anything in my little time playing so far, but I imagine there are times where you want that. But you basically want people for the law if you want it to pass when you propose it. And even though people are going to be divided basically all the time, you can negotiate and try and get people on your side. So this is a small step toward adaptation. Oh. And, well, I don't want to break anything by backing out. I mean, again, let's go through the tutorial as it's intended. But these were the things that represented the idea tree, right? Like the idea trees, each of them, all three of them were split into two. And I guess maybe as you step towards the various thoughts or whatever you want to call them, Maybe you unlock more in those directions. Okay, interesting. So that's forage additives, and then there's chemical additives. The city will approve chemical additives with tested and tolerable risk levels. Food production efficiency is significantly increased, but disease is also marginally increased. The machinists are supporting this. 38 delegates are for it. Fair enough. And that's just food additives. If we look at goods, right now no common rules, but if we use mass-produced goods, in order to overcome scarcity, we will organize our production lines to increase goods production. Good production efficiency is significantly increased. People are still divided. People are going to be divided for everything, by the way, at least in this first go. Durable goods. In order to make best use of scarce resources, we will focus on producing sturdy and easily repairable goods. Goods demand per capita is marginally decreased. And here the foragers are pro. So I guess this is why you'd want to push your society one way or another in terms of who, the percentage breakdown. But even then, it's not like, it's not like, as you can see at the bottom there, 37 of 49 forager delegates, which means some of the foragers are also not on board with this thing that most of the foragers are on board with. I mean, that's just real politics, right? Just because you're in a certain group doesn't mean you have to vote alongside what that group's vote is. So that's survival. If we take a look at economy, here we have welfare, citizenship, and labor. Under welfare, basic necessities. Currently, there are no common rules. They're customarily provided without compensation, but practices can differ from place to place. Paid essentials. To foster responsibility and reward work, citizens will be charged a small fee in exchange for essentials. Heat stamps income per capita is increased, and resource production efficiency is slightly increased too. You can see there's very little support for this, so I might not want to try this, and none of the, parties, I guess, actually support it either. Then there's free essentials. Interesting that merit and equality are put against each other. Free essentials. Based on availability, the city will ensure that all citizens are provided with what they need to survive for free. This will increase trust, and even here, people are divided. All right, fair enough. 70 hesitant. Very well. Contagion prevention. We have no agreed upon ways to handle contagious people. We could use the infection badge. Contagious people will be required to wear a specific badge that allows others to limit their interaction with them if they deem it appropriate. Disease is decreased, but tension is slightly increased. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Not a lot of support from either, in either direction. Lots of people are just hesitant. Supported quarantine. Contagious people will be placed in quarantine. The city will provide them with extra food rations to speed their recovery. The disease is decreased, but shelter availability per capita is slightly decreased too. So, I mean, this is like the giant branching paths of options in Frostpunk 1. It's pros and cons. You got to balance it out. Citizenship. First off, economy. No common rules. There are no clear rules about who can settle in the city. We could allow productive outsiders. We will only let in outsiders who will contribute to the city's economy and turn away the unproductive. Population growth is marginally increased. Heat stamps income per capita is marginally increased too. I would expect this to actually reduce population growth, to be honest, because you're limiting who's coming. So what it's doing is it's marginally increased here, but if we accept all outsiders, then it's simply increased, not marginally increased. But I would actually reduce population growth, because I would assume by default, because there are no rules, anyone can settle in the city. Anyway, I'm just sharing some thoughts, I guess, feedback out loud. Otherwise, heat stamp income per capita is marginally increased. Yeah, sure, makes sense. Except all outsiders. We will welcome all who wish to join our city and share in its benefits, regardless of their ability to contribute. Very well. And then there is community service. Oh, this one has lots of options. Enforce, no common rules. Voluntary and unfocused communal effort does not yield any significant gain for the city. Expedition support. Everyone must aid expeditions by helping them prepare for their journeys. Exploration time is decreased. The foragers are actually quite supportive of this, and this actually sounds like a good thing. Like, not just a good thing, but a thing we want sooner rather than later. City development effort. Everyone must support the extraction work in an effort to gain more resources for the city. That also sounds quite good, actually. All right, these ones are sounding more pressing. Service exemptions. No one quite cares about these ones, it seems like. Everyone must volunteer their time outside of work as needed unless they purchase an exemption from the city. Heat stamps income per capita is slightly increased. I find that hilarious because it's people buying exemptions. And then there's heat pipe watch. Everyone must inspect the heat pipes in their places of residence, spotting and fixing minor heat leakages around the city, reducing heat demand slightly. All right, pretty cool. Expedition support. I'm liking the sound of that because we're going to be going on an expedition soon. Very soon. The next step, if I recall correctly. Labor is locked for this Oh. Nebulous, unformed idea. It can become apparent through research or event. That's, I mean, the individuals. Oh, I thought this was, like, locked for the preview. My bad. Could have sworn there were some that were. Nope, these are all just nebulous, unformed ideas. Fair enough. Finally, we have society. Here, under care, we can look at funerals. There's a variety of practices right now, but otherwise we can have ceremonial funerals. No one really cares about this one right now. Bodies must be buried untouched after a traditional funeral to show proper respect to the departed. Relatives must be allowed to mourn with dignity. Trust loss resulting from deaths is decreased. Okay. Harvesting funerals. Ooh. The deceased will be harvested and their healthy body parts used to support city healthcare. Oh, okay, that kind of harvesting. I was worried for a second. Unharvested remains will be incinerated and the ashes transferred to relatives. So the disease is slightly decreased and research speed is slightly increased. And it doesn't look like it would upset anybody, so this feels like certainly the right option unless you're having trust issues. Fair enough. That's society, and so again, there's a bunch that I'm not highlighting and trying to come up with ideas on. But you can see what they all are for each of the three different tabs. If you didn't catch them before, you can kind of pause and take a look at them. But under family, we have childhood. No common rules. There are no rules that define who is responsible for the care and education of children. Some are well cared for while others are neglected. Jeez. Society, I keep forgetting how many backward steps it took. In this world, family apprenticeship. All children must work alongside one of their relatives so that they learn their trade and continue the family tradition. Percentage of active workers is slightly increased. That's just another word for child labor. Yeah, oh yeah, well, we don't do child labor anymore. It's a family apprenticeship, actually. Mandatory school. To guarantee that all children have skills and knowledge needed in the city, we will establish a mandatory school program supported by the city. Each staff's income is reduced, but research speed is slightly increased. All right, cool. Good stuff. I think, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at under economy. I think it was community service. Expedition support. I think we can get the support for this. I think we can swing the hesitant delegates. If we convince enough machinists, I think we'll have it. Sure. Expedition support. Let's propose it. So we have 37 for, 37 hesitant, and 26 against. I can just put it up to a vote right now and hope for the best. See how it goes. I could pressure the delegates, so I can pressure the hesitant delegates, which will sway them towards supporting the law. The more trusted you are, the more effective it will be. Hesitant delegates will be more likely to vote for the law, but relations with all communities will worsen. So if I want to take that chance, right, the law will be supported, I can say for sure, but my trust will drop. Right? Pretty significantly too, it feels like. Or, like I was saying earlier, I can negotiate. So why don't we try and negotiate, so I can show off the system more than anything else. So, we've got the foragers who are partially open to negotiate. And then we have the machinists who are entirely open to negotiate. They're actually mostly against, so if I can flip some of the againsts as well as some of the hesitants, maybe that's actually a good call. Hold on. 26 plus 12 is 38, right? Right, I'm doing that math right. Versus we have 12 foragers who are hesitant. So yeah, let's go ahead and negotiate with the machinists. Sure. So I want them to vote for. They will support the law during the next voting. And this is what was telling me, by the way, that at times you will want people to vote against a law. And I'm not sure. What I suspect is at times certain communities will force you to vote on a specific thing, and that's where you'll want to negotiate people into voting against that law so you can maintain control. That's my expectation. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and ask these people to vote for this law, and in return, what will I give them? I can fund their projects. Fund projects beneficial to their community. The larger their population, the more heat stamps required to fund them. That's an easy one. Mass-produce goods as a policy. In order to overcome scarcity, we will organize our production lines to increase goods production. Let's change another policy, fair enough. And then survival research, worker shifts. Policy, machine-adjusted shifts. To put less pressure on workers, workplaces must keep machines powered around the clock and adjust working hours accordingly, increasing squalor, decreasing workforce requirement. Meanwhile, this increases goods production efficiency, but there were other options in that same branch, or whatever you want to call it, that I was interested in. So why don't we just go ahead and say we'll fund some of their project. That should be enough. Yep. And you can see law will be supported. We flip most of them over. I can't see. Either way, we flip enough of them over. Law supported. Let's go ahead and push that forward. It'd be nice to, I mean, I guess this is by design, obviously. It'd be nice to not know. I'd like to not know. I'd like to take a gamble. Like, what if they say no? What if they say, yeah, sure, yeah, these terms sound good, and they don't do it? I guess that'd be frustrating if it happens enough times. But either way, let's push. Now that we have all this, we can go ahead and vote. 51 required. We got 75-4. Looks like we're good. I love that visual. Law passed. Not just the visuals, the audio and everything as well. That guy's voice letting us know law passes, the people applauding. It's so good. So good. Into the future. The new law has been agreed on. Good. There are challenges ahead. Improving coal extraction is a success, but the vein will only last so long. We need to explore the Frostland for a permanent source of fuel. That's the first step in our colonization effort. If we don't take it, the city will have no future at all. This concludes the onboarding tasks in this preview. Remember, you can always consult the tutorial. The city must not fall. People are complaining about some of our decisions. If we build and innovate, all will know bounty. I'm glad that you still get to see the insights of the various people living in your city. Foragers are upset about us leaning towards the machinists, I suppose. Stewart promised them some nonsense. Alright, cool. We can't get too distracted by this. Time is limited. So, find a new source of fuel. Build logistics district in place of one of the old way stations on the city's outskirts. Find a permanent source of fuel outside the city. That is a primary kind of objective. And these are our ambition objectives that we, well, chose, so to speak, before we started this run. Let's go ahead and pause and take a quick look around as we try to establish our next district. So we're looking for the old way stations. There's one there, very far away. There's one here that's a lot closer. And there's one over here that's, I think, a middling distance. There's coal over here, so we should maybe make our way over, actually. How much coal do we have here? Oh, actually, it's on the way up right now. Will be filled in 22 weeks. Maybe we do need a depot. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Let's chase after this old way station because it feels a lot closer. So obviously first we need our frost breakers to break the frost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, right, this isn't 6, this is 8. This is a very weird looking district. Let's do that, sure. Go ahead and break. Can I? Just because it looks funky otherwise. Yeah, we can frost break at the same time. Cool. Get that going. All is looking good. Let's go ahead and expand our district here. 1, 2, 3. Just keep it up against the frost wall here. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that we can build our fuel depot. Because we might actually need it in about 20 weeks' time, and I can totally see myself letting 20 weeks pass without realizing. Because, I mean, hey, it's already 48 weeks. I think I remarked at 40. I was like, whoa, it's already 40 weeks? That's fast. Speed time up, though. This to get done. There you have it. And let's go ahead and establish our logistics district. We need that spot, otherwise. A few more. It's all the way off in the distance, and that gives us plenty of room to establish other things in. What else is hurting right now? Food is very low. Will last 1 week. Let's go ahead and find some food. Frost break, where do we have food? I know there's some food up over here. Might go chasing after that, but is there food anywhere else? Coal, this is all wood. No, looks like that's the only food. Alright, gotta find the fastest way up there. That seems like it. Sure. Get that figured out. Because that's going to cause us trouble real soon. I did not realize how low food actually was. Materials are quite low as well. We'll take a look at... Imagine the industrial district is what will provide us with material. I mean, it's also consuming materials. But it's what I would imagine provides us. No, outputs goods. What is materials? How do we get materials? Output and demand. Nope. Close that. Processed resources used for industry and maintenance. Without them, the harsh conditions will deteriorate our infrastructure and increase squalor. The increased materials output, extract them from frozen forests or iron ore. Chart the frost line or pass loss. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. So we've got to go towards this frozen forest. We want to extract. Gotcha. Very close to our housing, so I don't love that, but what are you going to do? Go ahead and put it over the trees. And what we could do is just expand into this instead. Now I wonder what happens if I put multiple... You know what? Let's find out. Go ahead and frost break. It'll take a bit of time. I'm a little concerned, I'll be honest. We only have a week of materials left, so things will stop working. Will last for 2 days. Okay, less than a week. We can expand afterwards. Let's establish this district, because it takes time to build as well. So extraction, let's get you... Keep it as far away from the housing as possible. Well, so much for that industrial and residential split. It looks like we have a couple of events popping off as well. What do we got going on here? Stockpiles depleted. Steward, our initial stockpiles of food have run out. Our current output will satisfy some of the demand, but problems will mount over time. We must expand our districts or establish new ones to provide more supply. Otherwise, the city and us will suffer. Yep. And here? Oh, Sue Miller, 12, street urchin. Looking for trouble. Cindy's pa went and got her a governess, like she's going to be a duchess or something. Not on our watch. We roughed up the little bitch, all right. Ferguson's boys will learn this too. If they try and wife us again tonight, we'll put razors and say we'll cut out their eyes. It'll be good fun. But what we want is a proper rumble. Short blades only. Come on. Who wants to play? The lack of a law regulating childhood is causing tension to rise throughout the city. Very well. I mean, I only had a multitude of options to choose from. It's still not too bad. Machinists, shall we fund one of your projects? Not enough heat stamps. Yikes. Okay, that's not great. Because we promised them that. Oh, we're done over here. Sure. Let's go ahead and establish. Now, I assume it's a food district. Yes. Not an extraction district. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. 6. Get that built up. Well, that's actually kind of cool how it adapts to the fact that it's a cliffside. Alright, looks good, looks good. Already running out of space. 20 food. Very few goods. Materials are scarce too. Produce goods in industrial districts and buildings or pass laws to make them more available. Fair enough. Our logistics district is ready and Frostland team stand by for orders. Frostland exploration is now available. Alright, so here we have the city. Separately, we have the valley, we have the plains, we have the frozen desert, we have the mountains. And we have a point of interest, it seems. So, frozen desert here is labeled as unsafe territory, which is interesting. Means unsafe why? Unsafe how? Events? Or is it going to... What does it mean? What does it mean? Either way, let's head into... Well, this point of interest first. It interests me. Just around the riverbed. We followed a petrified river up through the frost and spotted a sharp bend north of here. Could be an indicator of an underground resource. Likely oil or gas. I see. Alright, well, let's head up to the valley then. Interesting. Oh, you can see... Yeah, it kind of tells you which way to go. Alright, yeah, to the valley. Safe territory, so why not? Quiet lowlands nestled between hills or mountains, offering some respite to travelers amidst the rugged terrain. Present little challenge for exploration. Safe territory, fast to chart, few Frostland teams required. Possible findings? Coal. Sounds good. Time to chart is 15 weeks in 1 day, and we need 10 Frostland teams. Alright. Launch the expedition, let's go. Currently charting the area, fair enough. Close that. You can see the map's got illustrations that I think imply what you might find. So, food, I suppose, coal, trees, so wood, or materials, I guess. Huh. Pretty interesting. Okay. Now, are they guaranteed to be accurate, or are they simply assumptions? I don't know. Back to the city, though. Or hopefully we will very quickly finish the food district. Goods as well. So goods, I need industrial. First, let's look at the Research Institute. So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. You got like reason versus tradition. You got equality versus merit. You got adaptation versus progress. And here you can see we've moved a bit towards adaptation. Is that revealing more to us? Is that unlocking more to us? So we moved a bit towards adaptation because, okay. No. We went with progress there. So progress increased a bit. So yeah, adaptation was because of the policy we passed. Interesting. Advanced coal mines, sawmills. Materials output increase. Sounds valuable right about now. But there was something for food as well, right? Or I guess I didn't have access to that. Dang. Logistic bays, hang on now. Logistics base storing and handling only essential survival gear and providing training on how to use it efficiently increases the Frostland team's output. Too late for this current one. I wish I'd noticed that we had the idea available earlier. But let's go with the sawmills. So the foragers want untreated wood sawmill. Massive sawmill in which frozen wood is cut into usable materials without undergoing any treatment, speeding up the process but exposing people to mold spores and fungi. So increases the 400 workforce requirement, 170 materials output, increased disease, increased heat demand, versus the mechanized sawmill. Massive sawmill loading frozen wood directly into mulching machines that separate usable materials from waste byproducts. So it's got a smaller workforce requirement, a higher materials output, an increase to squalor, and a significantly higher heat demand. Alright, machinists, you're right again. Let's develop this idea. Sure. And we really don't have any heat stamps, eh? Plus 11 per week. That's gonna take its sweet time. We can pass another law. Oh, rule. That's a new one. Oh, captain's authority, martial law, state of emergency, steward's militia, political police, propaganda, steward's appeal. Interesting. Interesting. This is like a turn to totalitarian, it feels like, as opposed to everything else, which is all about voting. So we can deal with childhood laws. We can take a look at, how do I make sure we are making some more money? Each stamp income per capita is increased. People are divided. Paid essentials. People are way too divided on that. No one's on board. What I might try and do is, oh yeah, we can try for this one. Again, no one's really on board. I'll come back to that. That feels like the service exemptions. Everyone must volunteer their time outside of work as needed unless they purchase an exemption from the city. That'll increase the heat stamp income per capita, and people are mostly for. We can try this without promising anything to anybody. Sure, let's propose this. Apply some pressure. We'd get it. If I negotiate, I have to give something, and right now I don't have any heat stamps to give. That's why I'm trying to pass this law. And I also want to see what happens if we just go for a vote. So let's go for it. Let's vote.
The votes are in. The measure passes.
Beautiful. Works out. Lovely. So I didn't have to give anything up to get these service exemptions enacted, and now we've gone from plus 11 to plus 13 per week. Alright, hopefully that makes a difference. Food is hopefully on its way up now. Output 20 from Central, 60 from Food District. Demand is 160, unfulfilled is 80. Alright, how can we improve you, Food District? Probably with the help of... We don't have any buildings, so let's see if there's a different... spot where we can get more food from. I don't see anything. I feel like food is more urgent than fuel is right now. On which note, though, oh, I can't even build the depot. because we don't have enough heat stamps. Costs how much? 71 more. So 7 weeks I have to wait before I can afford this, give or take. Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm in a bit of I feel like I'm in a bit of trouble already. I can't get food from anywhere else. We have an empty building slot, but nothing we can build in it. Oh wait, we have 352 weeks of food available to get from this spot. That's all. But no additional spot. All right. Okay. Maybe we'll make it. Maybe it's not as bad as it seems. It's only a slight shortfall, right? What about materials? 110 unfulfilled. So I mean, I could probably turn some things off and we'll be okay. And we'll look to be all right now. Oh no. Famous last words, and then an event pops up. Rexdale, 45, entrepreneur. Returning from the city approach trail. A profitable day. First couple were all rags and bones, useless. But then there was this woman with real ruby earrings. Ought to cover the arrival fee, I said. The wife will love those. Next was a bunch of strong fellas. I sent them straight to Elaine's place. She'll wring 'em dry before I get home. Lately there's been less of them. Maybe word is getting around. Gotta take advantage while it lasts. The lack of law regulating outsiders is decreasing population growth. You know, that's actually kind of maybe a good thing right now. We can barely feed the people we have. I don't know if I want to have more people to feed. Alright, okay. Okay. We're in a touch of trouble. And I'm intrigued. I'm not sure what comes next. Hopefully survival. Potentially death. Folks, won't find out until next time. This is where we're calling it a session. I like to try and keep these about an hour long when we're right about there. So let's call it here because it's an interesting cliffhanger, and I don't know if we're going to have a very short run over here. Only 62 weeks in, and things are looking kind of tight. Looking forward to it. Folks, if you've enjoyed this session, please don't hesitate to let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. If you'd like to see more Frostpunk 2 or other strategic city building, tactical, simulation style gaming, then you might want to subscribe to the channel as well. As always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.